Peace and blessings and namaste to all light warriors, workers, and everything in between. It is I, Sophie, today, and I want to give you a message about vices. And I'm not going to go so far into every single vice that we have, but I thought it was appropriate to bring this topic out because a lot of our brothers and sisters are suffering because of vices, right? And I want to bring this out to you so you can take more of a sympathetic or empathetic approach to understanding this, because what if I told you that a lot of people that deal with vices, whether it is drugs, psychedelics, cannabis, alcohol, tobacco, or sex, is actually light workers and light warriors? Oh no, you thought that this could only be to people who are demons or dark or don't know God. Absolutely not. Okay, as a matter of fact, a lot of light workers and light warriors that end up dealing with psychedelics and things like that and drugs is because of escapism. I want you to walk with me for a second, okay? Try to remember whether or not you were a infinite being with boundless consciousness, okay? That you are able to see geometric patterns as opposed to seeing solid objects, okay? Say that you were able to understand frequency and vibration and that you can create with a Fibonacci spiral. Say that you were able to levitate heavy objects, like heavy bricks, like the bricks in Egypt, by using ether frequency, all right? Now, say you're able to do all of these things and travel everywhere that you want to go, okay, using the mind and even speaking and holding conversations using the mind, and now you've been put into this realm, you're in this body, and you can't do none of that. The soul remembers. The spirit remembers. So what happens is you get drawn to escapism. You realize, you might not realize what the heck is wrong, but you know that life couldn't be it. This could not be life. I remember saying that when I was 21 years old, on my way to my corporate office and stuck in traffic and thinking this cannot be life. See? A lot of us come here and then we are limited and we are bound. And the mind can't do what it used to do. And so we are seeking a route that is more familiar with us, right? We're seeking to get that DMT going. And you don't have to have any of these drugs to actually start igniting and activating the DMT. You can do that through meditation and breath work, but it's a lot harder. Psychedelics, mushrooms, and ayahuasca is a lot quicker. Right? So, a lot of light beings and warriors are suffering here, okay? Because number one, they can't understand the denseness of this reality. Number two, they are remembering when they were free, and this does not look free to them, okay? Number three, they might not be used to operating in a realm where it has this much duality and this much confrontation. And so we fall into depressions and we're seeking an escape. All right. Now, some people do it through psychedelics. They want that experience of expansiveness again, you know, they want to be out there in the ether. Okay. Some people might gravitate to alcohol and maybe they think they're going to drown their sorrows out. Then you have people that just can't take this realm of existence at all, and they end up committing suicide. Most of the people who are bothered by this existence are people who have not been here, okay? Who are not native to this earth. See, those who are native to this earth, this is normal. But for those who are not native to this earth, this is completely abnormal, okay? Because you're limited in anything and everything that you can do, especially with astral travel. All right. So I did an ayahuasca trip in 2020 for the first time. All right. I did not have a shaman. I was supposed to have a shaman. I have shamanic roots. I just figured I'd figure it out as I went. All right. So it was me and some friends. And we went ahead and I have a master herbalist that's in North Carolina. Ladies, if you ever need something, let me know. I'll connect you with him. He knows, he has herbs for everything from cleaning the blood to dealing with menstrual cycles, hormones, all of that stuff. He is genius. A lot smarter than me. I like people when they're smart, way smarter than me, so I can sit at their feet and go, what? You know, that type of thing. So he's so smart. And so he sends the ayahuasca along with the instructions, okay? And he sends them in 3 parts, and he actually teaches you how to prepare it yourself, all right? So we get the bark, we do the boiling, we strain it, we do the tea, we let it sit, we drink about that much of it, all right? That's all that it took. First thing that you'll notice, about 10 to 15 minutes, the stomach starts getting very, 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 very nauseating. Why? Because the ayahuasca bark and plant medicine is designed to pull all the impurities from your body, even energy, and it forces you to expel it. All right. So you get nauseated and then you start throwing up. So anybody that's ever interested in trying to take an ayahuasca trip, number 1, do it with somebody who knows what they're doing. And number 2, make sure you have a bucket. It's going to happen. And if it doesn't come out one end, it's going to come out the other. All right. So it can be a traumatizing experience if you're new to it, or you have to be the one cleaning. It can be very traumatic. So I went in with an intention. All right. Now, my intention during this time with this trip, after I drank it, after my stomach became nauseated, after I was in the bathroom trying to throw up and I could not throw up, and I was the only one who couldn't. And I put my fingers in my throat and all of that. And typically it doesn't take much, but it was downloaded in my consciousness. Let it absorb. Okay. So I was miserable the entire night while everybody else kind of got it out. You know, I was just miserable all night long. So I went back in time. During this time to look at my mom when she was young and had me, so I can help understand why our relationship was rocky when I was young. And I got all of the information that I needed. And then after that, I went ahead and I elevated, okay, and I went high and I looked down on the earth, and I had 2 goddesses with me, powerful goddesses too. We were all in light body form, and we were looking down at the earth, and there was fire and smoke like it was a war going on. And I remember one of them saying, see what happens when we leave them in charge. And I said, absolutely, let's go. That was so much fun. And one of the goddesses I recognize now because I ran into her 3 years ago. The other goddess, I don't know who that was, and I'm still waiting for her to show up or pop up, okay? But we came down here together, all right? Now, that was my experience. But is everybody's experience the same? Absolutely not. As a matter of fact, some of the people were seeing fractals, geometric shapes, patterns, and mandalas, all right? But they were coming like this. So they were freaking out. Like, it becomes overwhelming to the senses. They were freaking out. And at that moment, I had to switch from from enjoying my trip and trying to figure out what was wrong to me to activating shamanic Sophie to talk these people out of whatever realm they was experiencing to get them down. You know what I mean? So that was just a natural thing. I didn't even know that I knew how to do that. But when you're faced with, adversity and you're panicking, something snaps in, with you, and then you just act. So I had to talk these people down. But the one thing that I learned about that was these beings that had taken that ayahuasca trip, that was experiencing geometric patterns and shapes and Fibonacci spirals and sequences and all of that stuff, they are 6 and 7 dimensional beings. Why? How did I know that? Well, I know that because 6 and 7 dimensional beings, they operate off of sacred geometry. They don't see things solid anymore. They see patterns. So when they were going through that, I was like, wow, they in 6 and 7D. That was like amazing to me. Okay. I don't know what dimension I was in. I was just, experiencing my healing because I wanted to do that. And because I went into it with an intention, I got out of it exactly what I went into it. But if you don't go in with an intention, you just got to go with the flow and whatever happened. So that was their flow. All right. But Again, these are light workers. These are light warriors. These are people who are suffering here. They're hurting here. They're hurting here because they're not used to this reality. It does not make sense. And so they're seeking an escape, one form or another, right? So have a little bit of pity on them, okay? And when you find out who they are, just talk to them, figure it out. Cannabis, on the other hand, was always used in religious ceremonies all around the world. It's a plant. We're supposed to eat it, actually, okay, as opposed to burning it or smoking it. If you eat it, it's a lot healthier, and it gives you a pure vibration. Now, what I was telling people about cannabis was, I don't have an opinion on it either way. I'm not for it. I'm not against it. I say that it's your free will choice. But I will tell you that if your consciousness, your natural consciousness, is vibrating higher than a plant, then that plant will do you no service. Okay? You'll probably just end up paranoid. If your plant is vibrating on a higher level of consciousness than you, then it will help you in your meditations, okay? Because it unlocks. It unlocks the mind, and you have easier access beyond the veil when you're in meditation and you have eaten some cannabis, all right? You can hear clearer, all of that, if the plant is vibrating high, all right? If the plant is vibrating low, or if you can naturally already do these things, and you take a cannabis plant, it really is non-effective. You just probably end up either paranoid or laughing, so you have to know this. But it was always used in religious ceremonies. As a matter of fact, in some temples, they would take bowls and they would put cannabis and incense in it. And they would light it. And smoky, smoky, smoky. And people would sit in, and then they would do their prayers and their meditation while the smoke rose, okay? And they would inhale some of the plant and the incense, all right? So, yes, light workers and light warriors can use cannabis. Now, the hardest one to deal with is the alcohol, all right? Because there's so much misconception around wine and strong drink. And I'm here to tell you that this was also a practice of our ancestors. And yes, it was literal wine. No, it was not grape juice, okay? Because grape juice is just juice. But this wine was fermented. And at points in time in our past, it was considered healthy. And it was considered healthy because of the fermentation. But you were never supposed to drink it in excess. So people would drink dinner wine, right? And just go on. Or they would drink wine during celebrations. You know all of the story. Jesus turned water into wine. It was a celebration, okay? Then you would also have, when men would go out to battle and into wars, when they came back, the king would always offer them strong drink and wine. Why? War is hell, okay? So people are wanting to escape what they were experiencing. And when you are in a wedding ceremony or something like that, and you're drinking wine, you just want to have that very beautiful, jovial spirit. And it is wine because in, the scriptures, it says wine that makes the men's hearts merry. My heart don't get merry off of Welch's. Does yours? No, it was wine and strong drink, right? So, but later on you find out that Yeshua says to you, keep sober and keep vigilant. Right? Sober and vigilant. So, why the conundrum? Nah, it's not. What ends up happening is, number one, it's about doing anything in excess. Anything that is overdone and in excess is unhealthy for you. Anything that is done in excess is unhealthy for you because it's imbalanced. Do you understand? All right? And some of the behavior that comes out when somebody is drinking, okay, might really discourage a whole nation to prevent, to keep from drinking, all right? But I'm here to tell you this, okay? And this might be the first time you've heard it, or you might have heard this a million times. It is not the alcohol that encourages the behavior. The alcohol or the wine in itself just is, okay? It's just fermented grape juice. That's all it is. But when it hits the body, it becomes an uninhibitor. So whatever is going on within the body, within the soul, within the consciousness, now that comes out. So you're not dealing with the alcohol, you're dealing with that individual. And if you're smart, they will tell you the story and you'll have the ability to identify exactly where they need healing. This is why there are some people who will drink, and then they become horny. You know, they just want to go to a hotel. They filling up on everybody. They're taking the clothes off and this, that, and the third. That's not the wine. That person is dealing with lust. All right? Then you'll have somebody else. They'll drink some wine and they're, you know, and they're just angry for no reason. They want to start fights with everybody. That person is dealing with unresolved issues and anger. Okay? Could be resentment, jealousy, whatever. But if you listen hard enough, you'll find out. Then you'll have some that might drink and just start busting out crying all over the place. You know, what they call them, the slobbering drunks. Okay? This person is suffering through depression. Okay? Learn not to judge. Pay attention and see instead. And when you're watching it, watch it with these eyes. All right? So, person busts out crying all of the time. There's some depression there. Okay? So, I've witnessed it now. Now I have to heal it. Do you see what I mean? Or start to counsel with it. We tend to blame, you know, maybe the alcohol or maybe the cannabis for our behavior, but actually it's the subconscious that is being released. That's why you know that saying that a drunk speaks a sober mind. It does. I have heard some profound words of wisdom from drunk bums on the corner. You can't dismiss the wisdom just because of the vessel that is being spoken from, or the fact that you can smell it. You have to hear it, okay? And some of them, we had drunk preachers that was bums on the corner and could tell you the day and age and everything about life, okay? We had drunks in the Old Testament. So, you know, we know that this thing exists, right? But what you do have to understand is just because you are drinking, okay, if you are drinking, okay, and if you're a social drinker, okay, and I'm really speaking of social, I was considered a social drinker. You know, there's no point to me to have alcohol in the house and just sit there and drink it and look dumb or watch TV, all right? If I was going to go somewhere, you know, where it was a party or a celebration or something was going on, I would start drinking. And I would typically drink a Merlot. I like Merlots. I like bitter wine, dry wine. I like dry wine, right? So I would have a Merlot and or two or three. Depends on my mood. So if I was going out to karaoke, I got to get the courage to sing now. You know what I mean? And it's not like I'm Whitney Houston and I have this phenomenal voice, but I got to get the courage to go up in front of all of these people and grab a microphone and perform on stage. I'm going to drink. All right. So I'm here to tell you that don't be surprised. All right. And don't discount if you ever see somebody that's drinking that is still operating in a higher power, because it happens. All right. Once the soul is clean, then when the alcohol comes in, it's not going to do anything to you except for release your inner self. So this is where you have the jovial drunks. Okay, this is the jovial drunks. These are the ones that go around and they love everybody. Okay, I don't care if you smacked them in the face last week. They drank some wine and here's their true nature. You know, I was one of those. I was one of those. I would come back home with phone numbers, men and women, you know, that wanted to hang out with me. I did not remember them, you know, but I'd be, you know, at karaoke, singing my little songs. People call me over to the table. I'm hugging everybody, you know. Oh, you're so beautiful. You're so beautiful. No, you rock. No, you rock. You know, that was me. You know, I was just always happy. I was always happy, but that was the real me that was coming out. Do you see what I mean? And sometimes when I'm not in that type of environment, I can come across as very aloof, all right? Because I'm observing the surroundings and I'm discerning my place. So I don't seem as friendly up front because I have to make sure that I'm comfortable first, okay? But if I'm drinking, the friendly just comes out, all right? People will call me the next day. Oh my God, you were so funny hanging out tomorrow. And I'm like, yeah, sure. Who is this? You know, I forgot. This would happen all the time. And I ended up with so many friends. But that's the way I am. You know what I mean? So you can't get mad at some of these vices. You know what I'm saying? It's really about, when it comes down to alcohol, it's really about what's in you. Okay? It's the alcohol is not going to make a jovial spirit just be ugly unless that ugliness already existed. So it opens you up. It lets your guards down, and now you are free to express whatever's going on in the conscious and subconscious mind. All right? A drunk speaks a sober mind. Just pay attention to the personalities when they come out. Now, I'm going to share something with you. Okay? When I was saying that you can't judge on that level, I'm going to share a few of my experiences on when I thought that I was going out to karaoke to just have a good time, and that was the way that I relieved stress. All right? I would go out to karaoke on Saturday night or a Friday night, and then go to church Sunday and try to sing. It was never the same. I will tell you that. It was never the same. I enjoyed singing. I still enjoy singing, but I'm no Whitney Houston. You know, I enjoy singing because that's the way that I relieve stress. It was through my voice, through song, right? But I always had an issue doing that in church, right? And there was this high expectation in church that, you know, if you grab the microphone, you got to rip and run, and everybody got to fall out and all of that stuff. And you have a simple, beautiful voice. If you can't move the crowd like that, you don't want to sing. So my choir director used to pressure me to do solos all the time. And I kept telling him, absolutely not. I'm going to harmonize in the back with the rest of the choir. All right? And that's what I wanted to do. And that's exactly what I did. But when I was at karaoke, I did not have that same fear. Why? The environment's different. All right? There's not a pressure there. Most of the time, people were too drunk to even care whether or not you can sing or how you sound. They just like the song. So they're just participating with you, and you can dance, you know. You can have your microphone and you sing your song, and you can say, I'm sexual chocolate, ladies and gentlemen. Mic drop. Walk off the stage. People will applaud you. Have a good time, right? Well, one time I was in there writing my songs down on the list. I'm talking to somebody on the right. I'm talking to somebody on the left. And we're all discussing, hey, maybe we should go all sing a song together. And I hear a voice very loud in my right ear says, you can sing in front of these people, but you can't sing for me. Alcohol is an uninhibitor. I could hear clearer when I was under the influence during that time than I could when I was sober. I don't have that problem now. I can hear. But then, boom, okay? Because the guard is let down. You're open. Your natural spirit, your natural self is there. You know, so if your natural self is angry, you need to go see some counseling. Okay? If your natural self is horny, I'm not even going to advise on that. If your natural self is depressed, get help. Okay? But my natural self was loving and open. So because my natural self was loving and open, I would always be used at the most inopportune moment. And yes, I am not afraid to admit it. I would debate and argue back with God. All right? So the biggest story, testimony, and I've had a few of them, when I thought I was just going out on a Friday to release some stress, because I hate clubs, okay? Don't like bars, but I do like karaoke and pool. You know, I can do karaoke bar, but I can't just sit at a regular bar. And I can't go to no club where it's all sweaty and funky and men harassing you because you don't want to dance with them. And I don't want to dance with these men anyway, because most of the time they got other things in mind. But, you know, to be honest, karaoke was the thing. So when I would go there to relieve some stress, there was a couple that used to go there all the time. And Susan was, you know, she was a little person, you know, a very little person. They were older, like in their 50s and 60s. And in North Carolina, karaoke's everywhere. So the same crowds would end up if you go to this place or that place, you'll run into the same group. You know, it's like it's like a cult. It's like a cult atmosphere. Everybody knows everybody. I don't care if I go all the way across town, you know, and I was singing at this bar, they're like, oh, there go Val, you know what I mean? And I'm like, yay, type of thing. So I run into Susan and her husband at this time, and I've known them for years, and they would always sit with me. And so when I saw her, she looked wild. So I go and I talked to her husband, and I said, how is Susan doing? And he says, she had a nervous breakdown. She's not doing well. And I'm like, you brought her out? And he said, I had to, because she was throwing a tantrum in the house and started breaking all of the TVs. She don't remember anything. I said, wow. Now, mind you, I've already had a few glasses of wine, okay? So I'm listening to him, and then I look at Susan, and then I walk over to her, and I say, hi, Miss Susan. I said, how are you doing today? And she goes, do I know you? And then he looked at me like, see? And I said, okay. So I wasn't going to let that completely become depressing. So I end up going back to the bar and start, writing my songs. And I hear, you know what you need to do. And I'm like, yeah, sing this song and give me another glass of wine is what I need to do. And I'm hearing, you know exactly what you need to do. I need for you to do that now. Now, the rational mind kicks in and says, he's asking me to represent him, okay, in this state. And the rational mind says, and arguing back with the divine, I've been drinking. I am not getting ready to pray publicly in this bar under the influence, because number one, I'm going to make you look bad, okay? Because I am nice and tipsy right now. And number two, I don't know how everybody's going to respond. They're here to have a good time. They're not here for me to preach, so why would I do that? So I ignored it. I'm going to be honest. I ignored it. I kept hearing them saying, go over there. And I was just like this. Excuse me, can I have another? Yeah, thank you. That was me. So finally, it became such a pressure that I felt like I was thrusted up out of the chair. And this is what I ended up doing. So because I was so embarrassed because I had been drinking and I was not going to pray in front of this bar, in front of all of these people, who are also drinking and went out to have a good time. What I ended up doing was moving from the bar and sitting at a table directly behind the table of the couple so that me and Susan was back to back like this. Okay? I'm facing this direction. She's facing that direction. She's facing her husband. And I just got my back to her and I'm just filling out my karaoke songs in my book. What I end up doing was taking my hand, one little finger, and put it behind me like this. I didn't want her to feel me touching her because she did not remember me. He said she had a nervous breakdown. I don't know how she's going to react. And I don't want other people asking me what I'm doing. So I take my one little hand with this finger and I touch it on her back. And I close my eyes. And I start praying. But I keep my head down so nobody notices. And I'm praying. And I know what I'm saying. And I know what I'm doing. And then I hurry up and I stop. And then they call me up on stage and I go on stage. The night goes on without a hitch. She's still crazy, whatever. Well, I hadn't run into them I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 months later at a completely different spot. And I see Susan and she runs up and she hugs me and I'm like, hi. And then I look at her husband and I'm confused and he's like, hey. And I said, oh, okay. I said, what happened? He said, I don't know. One day she just snapped out of it. She just snapped out of it. And I said, what day was that? Do you know? And he was like, when was the last time I saw you? Maybe a couple of days after that. She just came out of it. Don't think because somebody's drinking that they can't be used. I'm not the only person that this happened to. A few of my friends, especially one of my best male friends, anytime he would go out to try to have a good time and start drinking, he ended up in marriage counseling. I ended up one night arguing with somebody's drug dealer protecting my friend. Okay? Ministering to them in the parking lot. All right. So that's what stopped my whole karaoke thing going out, because it no longer became fun. And I got tired of arguing back and forth with the divine, because I don't want you embarrassing me. I came here to have fun, but every time I went out to have fun, there was an issue that needed resolving. It didn't start off that way. It just ended up that way, like the last portions of my life, to the point where I was like, fine, I'm not even going to deal with karaoke anymore. But the moral of this story is, if it was the wine or the drink that is causing an issue, I would not be able to minister and operate in miracles. All right? So it's your spirit that is affecting the drink. The drink does not affect you. It's not going to change you from being this person to that person. What it's going to do is bring out whatever is hidden. All right? Now, here's bad advice that I'm getting ready to give you, but it worked for me for a very long time. I hate dating. I hate dating with a passion. All right? It's so fake. It's so fake. And I am in the age of my womanhood where I'm just trying to figure out where the chase is and how to cut to it. Do you understand? And I'm at that age where I know exactly what I want and what I need, and I don't have time, to play around. And what typically happens when you are dating is everybody's got their mask on, and you're being or trying to present what you think the other person wants, as opposed to being your authentic self, right? Case in point, I might go out and date a guy and we're talking about sports, and he's like, and he asks me, hey, do you watch football and this, that, and the third? And I say, well, not really, and he, me either. I don't do it either. But then you go over their house, and every Sunday and Monday night, they vegged out on the couch with buffalo wings. What was the purpose of lying? If you'd have let me finish my story, I'd have told you. No, I don't really get into sports like that, but I don't mind it because I go to live games. Like, to me, live sports is so much more fun than it is watching it on TV. And because I was a cheerleader, I was around football and basketball all of that time. So it doesn't bother me. You didn't have to lie about it. But we spend so much time trying to impress the others. So what I used to do in my 20s, if a man wanted to date me or take me out, we would have to go to a restaurant. We would go to a restaurant because, first of all, I think going to a movie is counterproductive. I want to get to know you, right? So we would go to a restaurant, and I would always order him wine. I would order myself wine. I would order him wine too. And I would sit back and observe, all right? And I'd let him talk, and he'd order him some more, and I'd sit back and I'd observe, and I'm laughing and I'm joking, but I'm paying attention to the real him. Okay. This way, I can get past all the formalities, okay? So if he's an angry person, it's going to show, because I'm going to push his buttons, okay? I do push buttons early on in the relationship because I want to know how you can deal, or do you have the ability to deal with stress? Do you have the ability to deal with this or deal with that? Because I'm tired of oh, you too? Oh, me too. Oh, Smashing Pumpkins? Oh, I love that. Oh, you like to go on amusement park? Me too. Me too. Oh, wow. We're the same. We need to be together. And then you're together and he's a completely different person. I got to the chase early. I want to see who you are now and see whether or not you are a waste of my time. And no, I'm not going to sit around and do with the formalities. We're going to talk some very heavy things. So I would always get them tipsy. So by the end of the meal, if he's going, yeah, so, what you doing later on? You want to come back to my house? Next. If I don't like my food, when I think this is not cooked well, and she's a bitch, and that person's a bitch, and this, that, and the third, next. Do you see what I'm saying? Now, I am not encouraging y'all to do that. I have my methods of extracting information that I need to make a conscious decision, and I can do it very quickly, either by deliberately pushing buttons to see where their temper is, okay, to see how they handle stress, Okay, or to see if they're, jovial, lying, all of those things. I try to get to the chase early because my time is valuable, right? And nobody wants to sit around and deal with dating over and over and over and over again. And this thing, that this thing is the word. No, you hang up. 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 No. All right, so I'm going to wrap this all up because I'm giving the worst advice at the end of this video that I could have possibly did. But that is how I did. That's how I operated. I wanted to know the real person, and I used wine to do that. And if I was able to find out that there was something that they were hiding, or there was something that was hurting them, or if they were damaged, or something like that, if they were still okay and it was worth my time, then I knew what I was dealing with. It wasn't just an automatic cut off. Everybody has something that they're trying to get over, So it wasn't an automatic cut off. It was okay, we got unresolved issues here, there. Okay, we can get to that, later on. And I would just continue on. But if they were just not on my vibration or my frequency or anything like that, you can forget about it. I have been known to act like I was walking to the bathroom and leave. I only did that a couple of times. I got cussed out bad. Now, another thing that a lot of light workers and light warriors deal with too is sex, pornography addictions, things of that nature. Do not think that just because you have this high vibration of love and light that you don't have some things that are still plaguing you. Everybody still got their own demons, right? And because while we're going through this awakening journey, layers are being peeled back, all right? So we're shedding some things at time, all right? You have to be patient with people like this. You can't say automatically, oh, well, this person isn't a true light worker because they're drinking wine. Or this person isn't a true light warrior because they're watching porn. Or this person isn't a true light warrior because, they're going on mushroom trips. That's called plant medicine. Okay, if you know what you're doing with these type of medicines and herbs, you will get healed. But if you start to abuse this type of thing, it's not going to work well with you. All right. So we peel back the layers of the onions. All right. And a lot of light workers and warriors that struggle with sex and lust, chances are they have either been exposed to it way too early when the mind was not completely developed enough to handle the idea. And so it has been associated with simply a feeling of pleasure or love. All right. Or they could be lonely, not finding a compatible mate and having to deal with all of this stress and anxiety that's built up in the body. So they're looking for a release. If you don't know by now that orgasms is one of the best releases that you could ever experience in your life, I don't know what rock you were living under. But this is how these type of addictions come, okay? And they typically plague the empaths. They typically plague the people who have the high or high callings, the people who came here anointed or an assignment or a mission. These are the ones that have to fight their way through all of this energy to become refined like fire. All right? So they want to relieve stress. It all boils down to escapism. You don't want to be here. You're going to have to learn how to adjust, darlings. It's temporary. Everything is temporary. Okay? I know it feels limiting. I know it feels restricted. I know how good it feels to be in the ethers and the astral realms. I know how good it feels to be able to astral travel and create. Okay? I know. But we're nearing that time again. Go through the process. And if you have vices that are holding you back and you can't quite get rid of them, Just keep moving forward in the things that you can control and watch it peel off of you. As long as you keep growing, you will notice that things will start falling off away from you on its own because you are making your inner man stronger. And then the next time you pick up a glass of wine, the only thing you're going to be saying is, I'm Sophie, and I love you all.